And Jack, where's Jack? Where's Jack? Where is he? Jack, I want to see you. Great job, Jack. Thank you. What a job you do. You know, we have an incredible thing. We're always talking about the fake news and the bad, but we have guys, and these are the guys who should be getting Pulitzers.
All right, folks, Jack Posobiec back here, Real America's Voice, Human Events Daily. The Antifa Roundtable will convene soon. And I think if anyone lately has done more to really get this ball rolling, you can't talk about this without talking about what happened to Katie Daviscourt, my friend, my colleague from the Post Millennial. She joins us here. First of all, Katie, how are you?
It's an honor to be here. I'm healing up. I was on your show last week to talk about Antifa giving me a black eye. I am thrilled to be invited to the White House now, and I want to start off by thanking President Trump for officially designating Antifa a domestic terrorist group. It's much needed, and I cannot wait to see what the administration does with it.
No, and it's amazing to see you, to hear, but what happened to you is absolutely horrific. And it shouldn't happen to anybody. It certainly shouldn't have happened to you. Walk us through, because I understand you did end up getting medical treatment. You needed to. What did they say specifically? What were the injuries that you suffered? And I can see you even still have those
still
injuries.
Still have a black eye. I have a concussion and an eye hemorrhage. So I've been hanging in there. I've been trying to power through. I was not going to turn down an invitation to the White House, but political violence is so extreme in the Pacific Northwest, specifically Portland, and the federal intervention is desperately needed. So I think we're going to try to plead that case to President Trump at this roundtable.
Well, yeah, and the idea is, because this was something that I want to understand, because and I know you've told the story a million times, but you get assaulted, you get attacked for doing your job, for reporting on what's happening. You're just filming. You're not out there participating in any of these things. You go to the police who are supposed to be, you know, we're taught when we were little kids. You're in trouble, you go find a police officer. I teach my kids that. And yet you didn't get that help from the police. What happened?
Right, so I immediately went to the police, told them who my assault suspect was. They refused to detain her. So then I hunted my assault suspect through the streets, chased her down, held her for about 45 minutes, waiting for the police to come. They never showed up. And they never showed up because they have given this zone outside of the ICE facility to a terrorist group. And they have abandoned their brothers and sisters in federal law enforcement, ICE, FPS, all the other agencies that have just arrived on scene. And they have left residents that live in this area fending for themselves against terrorists. These residents have been, I'm not the only one out there who's been assaulted. People living there have been assaulted, harassed, threatened. They are terrified of this terrorist group that has occupied several blocks in Portland, and they are asking President Trump for help.
Now, would you say that this is a similar situation to CHAZ?
Yes, actually, very similar mechanics. Not exactly the same, but you could compare, definitely.
But there are parallels, that because I remember you and I were there, of course. By the way, I appreciate you not telling anyone that I was there when when we were there, and you were there overtly, and I was not. But you know, there's just a lot of stories that have never been told from the CHAZ days. But this specific point that I need to get to, that we saw it in Seattle, where the government essentially collapsed in this 12 square block radius around Cal Anderson Park and in the precinct, where the precinct was completely evacuated. All the police were pulled out. They were ordered to pull out on the orders of the mayor, Jenny Durkin, at the time. And then lawlessness was handed over. And at the same time, there were residents, there were businesses, there were people who their entire, for example, one of the vehicle dealerships was there. So his entire inventory is there in this lawless area where people were stealing keys one night, and Raz Simone fancies himself as this authoritarian warlord. He's handing out AK-47s and such. And I remember one night, it got incredibly violent. We also saw the violence a few nights after the multiple shootings that were taking place. Gangs started flooding in. When you have a situation like that, where the local government has completely failed and completely collapsed, isn't the only answer then for the federal government to step in and call up the National Guard?
That's absolutely correct. And what we're seeing in the CHAZ in Portland right now is that this sustained attack on the United States of America is actually being supported by the elected Democratic officials. So it is necessary for Trump to actually come in and save the day. I normally would not be advocating for big government federal intervention, but these citizens need saved.
Right, and no, and obviously that's you're right. It is sort of cross purposes with the general conservative kind of ideology. But when it comes down to it, I think that conservatives do stand for ordered liberty. And so if you lose order, if you lose the ability to maintain justice, if you lose the ability for just the basic social contract that people can't walk down the street without being assaulted because you're holding a cell phone up and filming, then obviously something has gone completely wrong. And that is where you need a proportionate response. Because let me ask you this. If the federal government doesn't step in here, what do you think is going to happen?
Complete anarchy. It's already anarchy. It's going to get worse. And I fear that people are going to be killed.
No, it's exactly what happened in the CHAZ. It's exactly what happened in Seattle, where the federal government didn't come in. The state government didn't come in. The National Guard was not called up. And we could see, I remember seeing, obviously you got attacked there as well for, you think you're doing the national anthem,
right,
and holding an American flag. And I could see there were armed individuals that were even, and people know this, there were armed individuals that were surrounding you at that time. But of course, myself and a few others were keeping a very close eye to make sure that those guns didn't come out of the waistbands. But you saw Glocks in those waistbands. You also saw long guns being used by the John Brown Gun Club. And we could tell that it was a situation where that was rapidly deteriorating. And this anarchy, this lawlessness, it always turns into absolute chaos. And so I remember saying at the time, just like you're saying now, that people are going to die here if the government doesn't come in. And that's exactly what happened. One of them was a teenager.
Yeah, the kids are dying. So President Trump, the people in Portland right now, they want federal intervention. They've been begging for it. And the police are not helping. So it's only a matter of time.
So when you talk to people, tell me about that. When you talk to local residents, and don't say names or anything, but when you talk to people out there, because I don't want to cause any trouble for people who are facing this threat.
Right.
When you talk to them, what do they say?
They're living in fear. They have been assaulted by Antifa. They have had knives pulled on them. It's just the list is endless. They cannot sleep. There is a sustained attack on the ICE building, and they are within feet away trying to live every night. And the feds have no other choice than to deploy tear gas, flashbangs, pepper balls, igniting a plume of smoke where they're trying to sleep. And so they just want an end to what is happening outside of ICE because the elected officials will not help them. The police will not help them. And they are counting on this admin.
Tell me some more about this Antifa safe house, because we chatted about it, and I was calling the Department of Homeland Security, which I will say it was 1 o'clock in the morning East Coast. They got Red on the phone with me and said, "Where is she?" And we're doing like geolocation from your videos to track your movements throughout the area. And fortunately, they were able to get in contact with you. Tell me about this Antifa safe house, because we're told Antifa doesn't even exist. How do they have an address?
Oh yeah, right. So Antifa outside of ICE, they had created this occupation that's kind of similar to a tent encampment. But what is really happening is there is an apartment unit about 2 blocks away from ICE where an Antifa individual involved in the protest has opened up his unit to those involved in the occupation. So they are not actually staying in this tent encampment. They are sleeping, eating, showering, resting inside this Antifa safe house just a block from ICE. And that's where they are conducting shift changes to continue this violence against ICE.
So you're talking about shift changes, you're talking about forward operating bases, you're talking about base of operations. These are all paramilitary tactics that you're describing.
Yep.
Does this seem like something that just organically arose overnight?
No, it's very organized. They have funders through mutual aid groups. They're constantly raising funds. And I would say that the safe house needs to be raided as soon as possible. The feds need to go in and shut it down, because once you take that out, you're going to start taking out other elements to what's happening.
And so finding the ability, not just from the financial, not just from the physical, but also the financial, being able to track back those networks. And I remember seeing this in CHAZ and other areas. They would have food trucks that would move around, and then there'd be Cash App accounts that would be associated with the food trucks. And I believe there was one that was trying to get to Portland, and then they ended up stopping it. You know what I'm talking about?
They also tried to go to Kenosha, too.
And it tried to get to Kenosha. That's what it was. They were driving from Portland to Kenosha. And
Riot Ribs.
Riot Ribs, right. And so, but the way the network worked was anyone could donate from anywhere in the world to this Cash App, and then that would go to fund the riots. It would go to fund the food. Katie, we are being called by the White House to get in. So we're going to have to sign off here from Human Events. Bo Davidson will be back for the final segment of the program, but will join us in just a few moments inside the White House, where we'll be with President Trump very shortly. Katie, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story.
Thanks, Jack.
I'm so glad you're okay. All right, folks, stay tuned. The Antifa Roundtable coming up very soon here. Don't even think about touching the dial. Real America's Voice continues.